It was like that thing, like they don't even talk about it. Like we don't even sit down and talk about it. Hey, this is how I feel. Because when you talk about it, even whether you don't want people, I've gotten used to that.
Yeah.
There'll always be people.
And I really believe for us pastors' kids, we really need therapy in a way. We need therapy because we had to also be pastors at some point because now I can't be a child. Like, I'm a child alone. It's just a long story. My father was married first, to a first wife, and then I have a brother. And then with my mom, which is the second wife, not really the second wife, the first wife passed away. Yes, passed away. So I'm my mother's only child. So my brother doesn't really like South Africa. He's in Lesotho. He doesn't like coming this side. So Udula Ali Waniko. So now I'm alone here. My mom would take kids like the less privileged, but which is also
a good thing.
It's a good thing,
man. You don't get that,
and the painful part about it is that, as I told you, Mama Gago would focus more on that person than you. They would focus on more attention and all that. You understand? So somewhere, somehow, when now over depressed, because you have no one to talk to. Even when you have something to say, you can't say it because now there is the other person. And the most painful part about it, and all that, they tend to grow up, and when they made it ungrateful.
I know. Hello, my name is Ntabiseng Toka Kubeka. I am with my beautiful sister over here.
My name is Dimpo Jonashi.
Yes, so we are PKs, both of us. So we have decided that we are gonna do a podcast about pastors' children. So before we waste any time, Dimpo, please tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, about myself, I'm from Kuma. My parents are Apostle Kotelo and the late Apostle Kotelo as well. So Apostle. I think that's all I can say about myself.
Okay. So
I'm not much of. I don't really know how to explain myself, but yeah, I think I'll learn along the run.
Okay. So because now we are focusing more on pastors' kids, right? That's what we are here for. Right?
Yes.
So please tell us about how it has been growing up as a pastor's kid. Like the ups, the downs, and everything else.
Well, the ups and the downs. One thing about being a pastor's kid, everybody has expectations that you have to be an angel, you have to be holier than thou.
Right.
So with myself, I've always been that kid who always wanted to explore things on their own. I was that kid who wanted to know how is like the outside world and all that. So I decided before I really became born again, before I really took what my parents has been teaching me from when I was growing up, so I decided, I was like, no, man, I think I want to start my own path. And
Right.
I went out, and it was really hard as a pastor's kid because everything that you do, it would be like, wana moruti all the time. So I would really don't mind them because I know I've seen with my sisters, with my brothers growing up, Uguti, they expect a lot from us. And I used to tell myself, Uguti, no, this thing, it's not me. I'm not a pastor. My parents are pastors.
Right.
So
I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah.
So before you tell us more about the stories, because I really want to know what you did.
Okay.
So, I can relate a lot to Udubuan, right? Because myself, my dad is a pastor, right?
Yeah.
So he has been a pastor ever since I was born, right? So for me, it was also that thing of Hyman. I can't be living for my parents and all that. So I can relate a lot to what you're saying. So do you mind also telling us about it's
been a lot. I don't want to lie. It's been a lot. So for me, I guess, as growing up, are you a house fan or a hip hop fan? So I've always been a hip hop fan, and knowing that being a hip hop fan, being a yo, what's up, homie? I used to be a rapper.
Okay.
So I used to be a rapper, and rapping music industry, they name it to be demonic and all that, but by it's satanism and all those things. So I used to be that type, and hip hop music, it's very influential. It's very influential. So I used to be one of those cool kids, but my name used to be Lily Blue by that. So me being Lily Blue, it carried a lot of pressure, peer pressure and all that, leading to smoking, drinking alcohol, partying. That's not all. I've been to drugs as well, because hip hop music, it's so in order for you to cooperate, because I used to be invited to go perform Godi shows and everything, so in order for me to get that energy on stage.
But also, is it true to about the drugs for energy? Because I've heard a lot of robots that if you smoke drugs, we are not talking about that, but I'm just curious about that since you've mentioned it. Is it true, or is it just a thing?
Honestly speaking, I would say it's true, because it went to an extent whereby I guess sometimes when I'm supposed to read, to be studying for my exams and so forth, I would be busy go the lyrics and all that, instead of khobala. And then in the morning when I wake up, I just do my sniffer. After sniffing, pass and forget. So I'm gonna pass that subject because of so it used to help me back in the days, but it's not so helpful because now can I lay a side effect. I forget a lot. So I wouldn't advise it for anyone.
So how did you get off of drugs?
It wasn't easy. I don't want to lie. It wasn't easy. It took time, because I would move from, I get when you see the substance is no longer stronger enough, you go.
You want something
Yes,
stronger.
you want something stronger. So when you go further, it keeps you hooked to an extent whereby now you are no longer functioning without that substance in your body. So with me, honestly speaking, it was really hard. Next I was even chased because of the drugs. And then my mom decided to take me to rehab. At least manage this thing. And then obviously I was moved from the town school to the location school. And then when I got there, it was just smoking cigarettes.
There was a stigma. How was that for you though?
It was a hard experience, but not really in a way, because I used to be the it girl old school, because when you come from a town school, we are vacationing, everyone wants to be your friend and all that.
Beautiful also.
Thank you. So it's like that. It wasn't that difficult, though it was difficult when it comes to the subject and all that, because skolon sa allocation in they categorize this how nka subject is so tlamehile follow it so kaofela. So toropong we are able to choose excuse me.
No problem. Take your time. Yeah.
So toropong you are able to choose this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So mole it was a bit difficult because I changed into history. So innately difficult when it comes to that, but when it comes to socializing, it was really nice.
Also, I feel like I relate a lot to your stories, because for me, I used to drink a lot, guys. I used to drink a lot.
Oh.
I used to smoke, yes. I'm not proud about it, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like I remember I used to tell my cousins also, but I know that one of the good days, I'll be telling my story, and for me, it's gonna be easier because I'm talking about something that I know.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like no, you must stop drinking, you must stop smoking. Now I've been sober for the longest time. I think it's been a year and a couple of months.
Wow,
that I'm
nice.
sober. Yeah, I don't smoke, I don't drink anymore, I don't party anymore. Now I live for Christ, guys. And
No.
it's possible to live for Christ. Because also there's this stigma. One wa batho ba o dira tse di kelang kwa ngwana wa doctor or nurse, you know,
those sayings.
And type of thing. So it's possible, guys, for us to live for Christ.
Yeah.
So also you're married to a pastor again?
Oh yeah, married to a pastor.
Yes, curious.
That's one of the things, because growing up, I always knew that I had a calling. Even if there was a point whereby in my life I always knew somewhere somehow I know I have a calling myself. It's not just it's not just my parents thing. As I say, growing up as a pastor's kid, you get to know. Even if you choose your own path, you get to know. So me meeting my husband, he wasn't always a pastor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just happened along the process of
after you guys met.
Yeah.
Or how or you were not about that life?
Honestly speaking, I didn't want to get married to a pastor because I know how pastors struggle.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm asking myself, like, would you really go to a pastor? Because now I've even told my parents, like, from the longest time, I've seen.
Yeah.
Also, another thing is, like, you because a lot of times when you talk about these things,
yeah,
like you besides our own things, just being in this household. There's every Sunday there's people. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like you don't even get a chance to be with your parents. Because I remember I would come back home. Sometimes I go to the whole weekend. This you know. And then when you talk about those things, even Karen, snacksy, how about the bad? So for me, I've always told myself,
and also talking about that, wait a how long do you happen they focus more on the outside people.
True.
Like tlabe ba feel gore no lona le bana ba ka la tlhaloganya la itse ke le rata.
They don't even talk about it.
Yes. So I'm like, so it's a hal rona bana ba ba go tukofela as a whole, and I'm like, okay. Because in a way.
Because also I'm saying, like, even to hey, what complain for me, not personally, I did not. It was like that thing, like they don't even talk about it. Like we don't even sit down and talk about it. Hey, this is how I feel. Because when you talk about it, even when you don't want people, I've gotten used to that.
Yeah.
There'll always be people.
And I really believe as pastors' kids, we really need therapy in a way. We need therapy because we had to also be pastors at some point, because now I can't be a child. Like, I'm a child alone. It's just a long story. My father was married first, to a first wife, and then I have a brother. And then with my mom, which is the second wife, not really the second wife, the first wife passed away. Yes, passed away. So I'm my mother's only child. So my brother doesn't really like South Africa. He's in Lesotho. He doesn't like coming this side. So udula ali waniko. So now I'm alone here. My mom would take kids like the less privileged, but which is
also a good thing.
It's a good thing, man.
You don't get that,
and the painful part about it is that as I told you, mama gago would focus more on that person than you. They would focus on more attention and all that. You understand? So somewhere, somehow, when over depressed, because you have no one to talk to. Even when you have something to say, you can't say it because now there is the other person. And the most painful part about it, and all that, they tend to grow up, and when they made it ungrateful.
I know. I know. I know. There's quite a few that I know. Obviously, we won't be mentioning names, but they know themselves. So, like, that time when now
you suffered.
We are not complaining, right? That's why a lot of times I don't like talking about these things, because even when you're complaining, but we are not complaining.
Yeah.
But they are bored because let me just make an example. Nako o tshwantse ebe ya gago we share with someone.
Yes.
We share a lot of things.
Even the clothes, even the money that was supposed to go to you alone. Let me share. Yeah.
Mara motho ha fetsa he batla bua gore yo go ga moruti bana ba etsa so go ga moruti go re dilo tse o ntisetsa enga but I'm not angry, but I'm just saying hela go
no, it's painful. It's painful. Your parents were sacrificing for those people. All they could see is just the negative stuff. Right. It's not that we are bitter, but we are just saying our heart out.
Because this is a platform for us.
Yeah, to get therapy.
To come in. So we are hoping that you will also come to this
and tell us about your story.
Tell us about your story, because guys, we legal getting also never talk about getting.
Yo.
Bankwatisa. How only something I'll speak for my side.
Okay.
My mom's sick, not sick, she will just wake up. But the very same people, now one thing that I always complain about, and today I'm still saying it. Even though I've gotten over it, but I'm still saying it. I'm not saying give me your money. I don't care about your money.
Yeah.
But just take your phone. How long do you say sharp? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to go. That's it. That's it. Because my parents are busy taking care of your needs, and your children's needs, and your relatives' needs. Who's taking care of me?
Exactly.
Because they're the ones who are supposed to take care of me.
And they don't even see that. They don't. They don't.
So that's also one thing that I wouldn't say better, but that's something that I'm not happy about.
Instead of them picking up their phone, calling you and asking you, so with me, talking about Batwakereke, I got pregnant out of wedlock. I got pregnant and the very same people back complaining now will no longer go to that church ngwana mogote o pregnant a sa nyalwa, all that bana ba bone bana le ba mataka di 3 4 5 and like ha ba nyalwa. But with me got that one child at some point, yes, I know I have to carry the cross and all that, but bazalwane ha ba re treat hantle. Instead of that like ntho ngwe ka etsahalang, it becomes a big deal ngwana moruti ga lentse re tsho.
And also we are human, guys. People need to understand that as much as guys, you can see I have tattoos because I was just like, you know what, guys, I am not my mother, I am not my father.
Exactly.
Me, I am saying, so I'm gonna live my life. Because whatever you do, one thing that I've realized about Bazalwan, whatever you do, it's wrong. It's
sharp. That's what exactly my point, because wow.
Because I remember also with me when I got pregnant with my daughter, there was a meeting. And the nice thing about that meeting was that with me, my parents sat me down. But you know what? Since you know that we are living in church and whatnot, we are gonna call this meeting. So we're not always sharp of it, or it's just to, protocol or whatever. Just to say for of which I understood. At the end of the day, now I'm pregnant, they are quiet. I understood. But also I was like, someone else.
Exactly my point. Would they call that meeting? That's what I'm saying. They are so exposed out there. Wait again, like it's celebrate because everyone is like concerned about our lives.
And then also one thing that I don't like about Basalwan, since we are talking about that, I wouldn't say. Okay, let me just say I'm a nice person.
Yeah.
I'm shy.
And they do tell that about you.
But I'm a nice person. So ke rata go dumedisa man, ke rata dumedisa ha ebile opi, right? So other people ba salone ka bele ntwele gore o ke ntebiseng ga mmona. Okay, sharp motho sa go dumedisa go fete fela. Ba se batla go tlo gore dingwana ga mama go tiphoka. Hello again. And I'm like, what? Wasn't to me because I am a person.
Yeah.
Wasn't to me because I don't like that at all.
That is so true.
Hi guys.
Hence, most of the time I like hiding myself because that kind of exposure because of the parents and what they because I believe we are trying to make names for ourselves.
So
Yeah.
You are alone on that.
I just happened to venture into it.
So also would you like are you gonna follow that your gift? Because I think this thing so are you gonna also like
Kione, that's the problem, both of us we are called. We are called no matter, especially my husband is the one who's been trying to run away from the calling. And then now I'm like, God, now I'm ready, but I'm not going to fix myself. Whatever that's happening with me, I'm going to allow you to do your work as God in my life. Because how can you know that God is there where else? I'm weak, I'm not perfect. So by the time it into the change drastically, I know I'm gonna like know now ke follow this thing. And yeah, it just happened to know okay, now ke nako, and then yeah. So I have no way to go away, nowhere to run even if I like, I know it's not easy because I've heard stories some of them they are no more. Yeah, some of them are crazy, some of them life is some of them so I don't want to end up like that. Where else I know shame, honestly speaking, living for God is very nice.
Me, I want to live for God, but I don't want to
be a but what if it's your calling?
I always tell my mom, please, whatever you're doing in this season, don't make me a preacher or whatever, because no, I'm not about that life, honestly. Like also, like until we go and living for God is just, I can 100% agree with you. Well, because nothing.
Wow.
Now if what I'm my mom if like I'd rather be invite you and then
yo, that one, that's not me. That's not me. I'm not about to go that road again.
But yeah, guys, I always pray about it because that don't do me and whatever that he wants with our lives.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm ready for that.
Honestly speaking, Linda, I would love to be that pastor or submitting under but what I want to ask you is that so what if, because our parents grow eventually and now Goya Fitla where they are supposed to retire. Yeah, where they're supposed to retire. What are you gonna do?
Well,
okay, there's your brother to take over.
No, the nice thing about my church is that we have a lot of pastors that can take over. I'm not even worried about that.
Okay.
When I grew up and all that, no, the other pastors are coming, they will, run with it smoothly.
So what would you do? Because in these last days that we are living in, pastor mamang, bana le di power le di fame, batswa kanyang Christianity le dilo tsa bona so that their churches can bloom and be known everywhere.
Yeah.
So what if those pastors ba kopana le those bigger pastors tse sa batleng go bitsa mabitso a bona ba kopana le bona, and then they tend to change your parents' vision into occultic nyana ntonyana tse di jalo, those kind of conspiracies.
I don't know, with that I've never really thought about it in that sense, because for me hanzi ke sheba so ke ntse ke tsamaya ba bona this journey of my parents being pastors and whatnot. The pastors baba go tlase ga bona, I think my parents baba gotile singly to have a good standing with God. But I do understand, like you're saying, for things happen, you wouldn't know. But I think I find comfort in knowing that Batsadi Baga, they have set a high standard for them. So should it happen that, of which I highly doubt, hey, I'm gonna pray about.
Oh, it's about charity. You know, finances.
I think I need to pray about
it. Okay, because now apparently in America you can't be a preacher or a doctor. Apparently you have to, you can't preach or have a church, I don't know, something like that, or say doctor, So if ever go fitla dilo nyana tse di jalo, because the position e di a fitla kere mo, and then they tell you go sa drive a Maserati or sa drive a Porsche or whatever, you understand. And then notola pressure at that time, because times are running, and go batlagala motho le go weekemetse wa itse gore no matter what, I will never join cult, because as a person you will never say I will never say I know you. You'll never say you know me. Even the Bible says gore pelo e mano, it's gets e rata tsa yona fela. So you wouldn't know as time goes on, in as much as like ba rutilwe right and all that, what would happen. So sometimes, you know, when I isn't type saying, you know, I would die for this. I will never disappoint my parents. But bona, you never really know. Because I get a bona, ever since you were growing up, ever since you were born, in this thing, and you know it. You've been there. So bona, some of them may be crazy, you understand. So you'll never know.
You'll never know, true. But also I think with me, like I said, I've never really thought about it to that extent, because I don't see them.
But would you see Century of Hope falling? Wait, because when you don't want to take over.
I think that's a difficult question, because my personality would just sit back and say, hey, do whatever it is. Because like, hey, I cannot no, I'm not that. Like, personality, I got my character or whatever. I think I would just even leave America or whatever to just say, you know what, but also for the sake of my parents, which I don't know, like I've never really thought about it to that extent. But now one thing that I find comfort in is knowing that my parents have set a standard for the upcoming pastors, or for the pastors Babakotas Habon. I think that's where I've thought about it to that level.
Mina, the reason why I'm thinking about such things is that my parents were not always the overseers of a church. They were submitting under. And then it happens gore moruti a moholo a retirement, you know. And then pastor again in that time kana go tsa bona was actually going to you know, so that he can get his power, so that he can prophesy, so that he can heal people, deliver batho and all that. So my mom is a seer. My dad was gifted a lot in deliverance and, you know, miracles and all that. My mom is a seer. She's gifted in a seeing. So ntonyana tse jalo o di bona pele. La ha ba bona go TV ba batjha ma superstar mafia. Ba bona go yene ke mmone ke skin sale wa ntlhaloganya. So aba bona go no, this is what's happening. And then, you know, motho ha situation e le jalo, they pray about it, ba rapelle modimo, moruti a repent, like and then they stayed in the church in Babona. They didn't just, you know, they prayed for moruti, because I get, you know, we're supposed to pray for our pastors. They prayed. Babona, man, there's no change in this. So but this things they started even way before when I fitla. So Modima bacho hey, I know guys, enough is enough. I've heard you you guys have to start the resurrection. The resurrection of life. Because no yana, these people are dead. Because obviously when you are onzo phela, but osi motlasa modimo, you are basically dead. So that's when modimo bare no, start your own thing. And all that. So that's how our church came about. Hence, I'm so actually I would say the reason for me to study journalism, I wanted to focus more on this conspiracy part. The conspiracy, I really like those things. Hence, I'm always skeptical about things. Would I sit back or would I take over if anything happened? Because my dad is already late. If anything happens to my mom, am I ready enough to, But I always say, and I'm like, when the time is right, you wouldn't be saying what you are saying now.
I think, yeah. Because like I said, I'm not saying, as much as I feel like I don't want to
take over
or take over or whatever, as much as I'm saying that right now, I can say that you want to do for the future. So maybe it might happen that I'm gonna be a pastor, of which that will do me yes. I don't wanna be a pastor, guys. But I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. I don't know. True. So I think maybe I don't want to be, but whatever happens,
let his will be done. Obviously.
It's not about me. Now I live for Christ. I live for Christ. Whatever that he wants for my life, that's
you
what
will follow. That's true. That's true. Because we do not follow our own destiny. Like Modimo has predestined us for something which he alone will be able to reveal as time goes on. That is why we'll just wait for God's timing and see what happens at that due time.
So when do you think maybe like as a mama, do you think Oka like would you open your own church?
Until you've been leading the church with your parents. That is me. I would literally go and take it to a hangover. I would literally go to church, go lukisa. Like most of the things they because they feel so now I would go and do that. So I feel like for me, starting from scratch, maybe, but maybe if it's God's plan, but I don't see myself starting my own thing. I don't, honestly, I don't.
Speaking of so for me, since grade 9, I went to boarding school. After boarding school, I went to Joburg and so I've never really been active cooking game. Because I've always had this mentality of these people don't care. So also me, I will not care. Like I don't want to lie to you, but I've always been that girl. And not to say like or even Libo never put or anything like that. No, it has never been that thing. It was just a thing in my corner. So I've never really been active, go get again. I hope like worship team, and then I was like, no man, worship team lifestyle. And I was like, let me just leave because I don't want to be punished by God. And got to like, life born, life and what. And then only recently, I got an encounter with God. It was last year, when personal encounter with God. You know what, girl? You've been living under your parents' shadow. So now it's the time for you to live for yourself. So ever since that time, then I wanted to be active, go get a game, to do something, do this and whatnot. And also with that, I would say it's challenging because at some point I just felt like, you know what, it was better when I was just not doing anything. Because now you get to know the politics. You get to see because honestly, when you go to church, you're good thing. You do the same. There's really nothing much
interested.
Not even interested, but there's nothing much you know. But when you get into
hands in,
hey man, and then at some point I just felt like, you know what, not gonna be
hence I really don't beat up. Ke feel gore bana ba ba ruti ba ile gore ba ntse ba tshwareletse le today. But like ba strong because o sheba dilo tse di etsiwang batswadi ba gago, o sheba dilo tse o di diriwang, o sheba like life e o etsagalang go go ntho ngwe lengwe etsagalang, and then you'd still be in church. I feel like big ups to bana ba ba ruti. I feel like wow, because hey, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot.
There's a hence like bana ba ba ruti, they really need therapy. Ba ihloka. It's a need, it's not a want. So we should really consider it. Libazalona, I think they should try
to accommodate us.
Yeah.
Guys, we're not saying we're not saying give us your money. We are not saying we're not doing it.
Yeah.
The phone call, like I said earlier on, it's very important. I don't want to lie to you. It's very, I can just imagine nakana go twa mme mamang o sa mona kana ngo go dira teng o go phone is wow, like it's
it's
like
overwhelming.
It makes a huge difference. I don't want to lie. I think also that's why bana ba go man ban. No, I don't blame them. I don't wanna.
That's what I'm saying.
Baba
they baita khwele ebile ba sa le da se re tseba ebile ha ba e batle le kereke go e gatileng teng because they know what's happening.
But also I think at this point the only thing we can do for them is to go ba rapela.
Yeah,
because le bona
exactly.
Like this people that pray for us.
That's true.
Understand? So, that's true. Yeah, no, guys. I think also that's part of why we decided to have this podcast.
Yeah.
To say, we are here. We understand what's happening in your lives. We understand it's not easy. So we just decided to, have this little community, if I can call it
that, so that we can talk.
To just come talk, cause I want to well, not from our parents, but you guys make us look like we are angels. We are not supposed to make mistakes.
Not at all.
I'm an interpreter. That's what I do. So interpreter too, because they do not define me.
Yeah.
I get them.
Exactly.
But still, and if God wants me to be a pastor or whatever,
and I believe I feel into a sharp because one thing about baruti ba so kang ba feta dinthong, you are not able to thusa motho o mong a nang le bothata bo. So in order for you go be moruti a utlwisisang, you have to pass through that. What's about the scars? Hey, you have to know the scars.
Imagine if someone comes to my mom, yo, we don't want to do a little too. Mama Gaga is going to go judge. Because also Mula
yeah.
So turns out so easy because my mom almost had to take it. Guys, with my first tattoo, my mom was not okay. She was she was not okay at all. Yo, she almost there's another one, I think the second one. Yo, guys, and I was like, man, what are you doing?
Oh.
But I still went on and on.
I guess that's how we take out our pain. Now I used to have piercings. I remember I had one here. My dad took I just have 2 earrings. I 8 or more than that because I feel the way
that's what my mom always says. Because not for me at that point, it was not pain. But now I realize, maybe I was just.
You did, but you were not aware. That's what I'm saying. They need therapy because they are. Because we thought no but it's because we were accepted. And all that. I remember me talking about being accepted. As I told you that I was a rapper and all that. I go perform a body gig in Bibi Pizza Mini back in the days, They were like, batho ba kereke ha ke ya kereke etsa Christian rap ke izama ke ijika and then yena ka madimona like wa ntlhaloganya. So I felt more comfortable outside than go kereke. You see.
Yeah, no, it's a thing.
Hey, yeah.
But we will be okay, guys.
Yeah.
We will be okay. We shall be okay.
I feel better as we speak. I feel there are some things so us conversating about this
like I never really spoke about a lot of things. And it's not even like to say. And I always say I will never ever blame my parents for being pastors.
Yeah.
Of which I'm much more supportive to their calling and whatnot. I've always been supportive. Just that there were things they didn't to say, and it didn't cut for born herself because like I said earlier on, my mom would be sick. She'd be expected to go see someone hospital or like she'd still be expected to be a mamu.
Yeah.
And I neglect that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So but you are sick. Why? Do you understand? It was for them also. So I used to cry a lot when I speak about such things. Like I'm even surprised. What are you today?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm surprised that I'm not even teary or
Yeah.
I'm not even crying. Because for me it has always been hella that thing of yo guys, now when I'm rude. Like and I would cry about it. It's not fair. Because it's not fair. That today guys give us love.
Yeah.
Like ripping lerato.
And that's all we need.
That's all we need at this point.
Not money, not anything. Yeah.
And judge guys, you stop judging us because like if you gashem. Bana baba go tubela go re no ba fila go ba batla kereke eng. How ka ba botsa? I bet you. How ka ba botsa? Batla bua go re for this reason, for being judged. Being
Number
judged
one.
will always be there. And then for the being judged will always be there.
And that's what kills us, because if you ever want something wrong, you just go to a person or more correct in a loving way. Wait till how much I when I can you'd see what I'm doing. It's not okay, yeah. But instead, the tolerate content guys to the fullest.
We don't even
Bona, conta how I can shout a cigarette while Bona, you know. No one will even get what outfit a more colui, but Elebona fella balichuko mokoloing outfit.
Yeah, those are like honestly some of the things they look as
yeah.
Or when a house and so or vendela maybe mama wa go kerekeng. Ha go tlo fela go yo mama ga go mo gotsos.
Exactly my point.
Do you understand? So I think above all, guys, we just need love.
That's all we need.
That's all we need. And then this is I think we are okay for now. Yeah. We are okay. So we are here for you guys. We are here for you.
And you can come and heal like us because we've healed. We actually feel better about ourselves. And all thanks to the NTV. We have the NTV in the house. NTVZ, of course. Yeah, we have NTVZ Productions shooting our podcast. And then we have Ronald in the house. Hi, Ronald. We have Ty in the house. So we have Zakes in the house, and we have Bays in the house. Shout out to them.
Do you guys have any questions for us? Something about it.
So, like, you guys, in terms of this whole stigma, what would you say, except maybe they're not receiving love as we speak, those people? Because you guys say there were other mechanisms.
Yeah.
Which one can they take? Maybe right now it's the important who are facing those situations. They haven't discovered themselves. And then they see the streets as the only way, the outside world as the only way of coping. What are some of the things that say baga cause lifitile mohozo? What are some of the positive ways say bagadi use at least in a basa was a negative? Yeah.
Okay. one thing that I would say is that the reason why Rona, as I said, teach your child the ways of the Lord as they are young.
Yeah.
So eventually when they grow up, even if they can go, like Rona but somewhere somehow so it happens naturally. They shouldn't like force things. What they would just do as normal people. Because one thing about how is our lifestyle, you're not supposed to be in the pulpit like overhead. You just have to go like everybody else. Well, no, continue. But when time comes, change eventually. There is nothing that we can say because now I believe as long as however, 40, 45, they are still gonna go back to the ways of the Lord at the right time.
Yeah, I think for me, I would like speak more to Batsad, not the children.
Okay.
Speaking of based off of my experience. Now my parents, they knew. As much as I see them ponique tahilo or I see them ponique scarete or I see them ponique tlapung. They've never seen me, but never gonna meet some ya kahore. Usually, but I'm speaking openly about it. But they knew that I'm living this kind of life. As much as maybe they don't even know like Kore in the list but I would say my parents, I would even say especially my mom, I think she prayed a lot for me. Even today, I'm like, thank you that my mom prayed for me the way she did, that my dad prayed for me the way he did. Because I believe, even Elena, but, and one other thing, as much as they knew, and never hey, no, as much as they would tell me, I'm saying, I knew that I have to live right. So them not forcing me, I think in Kenzokore, when I had that encounter, it was much easier for me to say yes. Because I think but I leave this thing for foster.
Yeah, now was one of the kids who was forced.
So I think that's I would speak more to the parents for eventually one day when my mom prayed for me and I'm okay now.
And talking about the area of foster, once you foster your child, honestly speaking, because now as one of those kids, I never foster. Like my mom would literally do anything to live the life that I'm living. So I would say fostering children, it doesn't work. It only makes the situation worse. So my mom, by the time that's when I came back. That's when I was like, so pray for your child and stop forcing, because the more you force, the worse things are becoming. Yeah.
Because also the thing about forcing, foster, and then don't feel it's almost foster like because but when you don't force them, now I used to feel so guilty. Guys, it's like make a pillar life in it. I don't wanna lie to you guys. I can look at Lapung or Kino or get that. Like I would always I don't wanna lie. Like I would always think about my parents. Like I don't like it also that thing initially impacted to say, no man, I need to stop doing this. So don't force your children. Just pray for them. Eventually, I promise you, Mama, I want to. I think my parents are proud of me now, even if they don't really say it much.
But you can see,
I know I'm not there yet. And also another thing that I would like to say, is to say, how to I believe I'm where I am because of the tapping. Not only my mom and dad's prayers, but I believe there were people that were praying for me. So Yaka re dutse so le dimpo. Re sa nagana gore yeah, we've made it. I'm also talking to those bana ba ba ruti ba leng gore maybe they are in our situation gore I used to do this, now I'm okay.
Yeah.
Don't stop praying for ba bang bao.
Yeah.
Continue praying for them because no one can ntshitswe ke dithape tsa ba bang ba ne ba re shebile ba re one day o tlo go siama. And we are not perfect. We are still struggling with this and that, not majaba and stuff. But I'm just saying, hella some other things.
That's true.
But pray for us. Pray and let's continue praying for these children, especially guys, especially ba ba feel like ha ba batle modimo self. Because ba bang ba feel like ba batle modimo self. So let's just continue praying for them. Bageshapo and yeah.
And also we need prayers, guys. It doesn't mean we don't. It doesn't mean
yeah.
And doing this podcast, because all they wanna do useless.
It's true. Yeah,
so we need prayers. We need prayers, Lorona.
Yeah. Are you guys good with your questions? Are you fine?
You guys good?
Okay.
I mean, I'm good for now.
Are you good for now?
Okay.